State of the Union with Candy Kohler, CNN Sunday morning, 9 Eastern.
Joining me now here in Washington, Tony Blair, Special Envoy of the Quartet on the Middle East and former British Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
There's so many headlines in the Middle East, it's hard to know where to start. But for us, it's been Libya. For a while, you have known Muammar Gaddafi. I know you've spoken to him throughout the course of the uprising there. Right now, I think people look at Libya and say, at best, it's a standstill. And at worst, it really looks as though Gaddafi might be prevailing. What is your sense of what's happening?
First of all, I think we should just take one major positive, by the way, out of this. As a result of the action that Britain, France, America, other nations have joined together and taken, those people, innocent people that might have been killed in very large number, are not being.
Although innocent people are still being killed. Innocent
people get killed in a conflict, that is true. But I think the sense that the country was going to be overrun and then taken back into control of a regime that had, frankly, gone back to where it used to be, I think that we have managed to avoid. The question now, I think, is we've got to keep in our minds, what is our strategic objective? And it is to get a different form of government in place in which the people of Libya decide the future of Libya.
And the translation of that is Gaddafi has to go.
The translation of that is that you need a process which changes probably the constitution, the way Libya is governed, and ends with the people deciding. So it's not for us to decide, for outsiders to decide, it is for the people of Libya. If you can get that through, I think, to those in the Gaddafi camp at the moment, but also to try and make sure that we create a situation in which that change can occur, then that's the optimum thing.
Do you see signs of any cracking around Muammar Gaddafi at this point?
What I see are signs that anyone sensible realises that this cannot end in any other way than at some point an agreed process of change in Libya. So, whether we carry on for a long time or a short time, that's what's going to happen. The status quo is not the option. So I think, even though it looks, somewhat, stuck at the moment, nonetheless, from my experience in dealing with these situations, sometimes that happens, but actually there is a lot of pressure going on the regime. And there are also, I think, probably voices around him saying, look, the only sensible way out of this is to have an agreed process of change. If people agree, by the way, that the central thing is the will of the people of Libya should prevail.
At the moment, I know you have spoken with him. We sort of look at this and think he seems delusional. He seems to think that people in his country are for him when clearly they're not. What is your sense of his state of mind at this point, and on whether you can really see him doing that? His view to a process.
I mean, his view is that we've got it all wrong, that actually this is about people who are fighting for all sorts of reasons to do with Al-Qaeda or tribal reasons. So
delusional.
That is obviously not the case. Now, what is true, however, is that somebody who's been in power for 40 years, and this is somebody I've sat with and talked with, whatever people say about being delusional and so forth, he has kept that grip there for 40 years. So I think we're as well also to treat him as somebody who has a perspective and is prepared
with
to.
The power
there's a certain amount of calculation as well. So I think what is important, therefore, is to ask the question: what is the best way that we're going to get change now in this situation and get it with the minimum loss of life, the minimum bloodshed?